Hello and welcome to TG Wellbeing. TG Wellbeing is all about feeling and looking your absolute very best. Optimal performance and rejuvenation, not only in sports and competition, but in the game of life. How to break through physical and mental barriers, plateaus, and challenges. How to rewire and reprogram your way of thinking to set yourself up for success through education and raising awareness. Understanding how to optimize your life. How you fuel and treat your body and mind will dictate how you think, feel, and look. The last couple of years have been extremely challenging for all of us, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. We have been hit and hit very hard. It's time to take control. More importantly, take action. Listen, learn, apply, and try. We are here to educate, raise awareness, motivate, and inspire, giving you advice and tips, sharing knowledge from the very best. Leaders and experts in medicine, health, fitness, nutrition, sports science, healthy eating, and motivation. This show is all about a better you, inside and out. So be sure to join us right here, TG Wellbeing, every Saturday from 12:15 to 12:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen worldwide at WTBQ.com. I'm your host, Rob Fletcher, author of America's Next Great Trainer, Transform Your Life. You can check that out on Amazon. Follow me on Instagram at ANGTTV. And be sure to follow us, of course, at TG Wellbeing. Today, I would like to welcome our featured guest, Stephen Kruckenberg, TG Gym owner, formulator for TG supps, and national level bodybuilder. Hello, Steve. Thanks very much for joining us today. Looking forward to our talks and our topics, especially your very inspiring journey from where you once were to where you are today. So welcome, Steve.
Hey, Rob, how are you? It's great to hear from you again.
Yeah, it's always great speaking with you, Steve. I learned so much myself. You know, as I said, you know, when we speak frequently about your backstory, and we spoke briefly about this the other day, if you wouldn't mind sharing it, because I'm sure so many people can benefit. As I mentioned earlier, you know, these trying times, everything is very challenging, but your story is truly an inspiration. So if you wouldn't mind, Steve, you know, I did mention a brief basically what you're involved with right now. But if you wouldn't mind sharing, you know, where you once were to where you are now and that one life-changing moment, again, only sharing, you know, what you're most comfortable sharing with.
Yeah, I mean, to understand what we do at TG and to understand who I am and what I do and why I do, you kind of got to understand the background of my life. And, you know, I wasn't always involved with the greatest people as a young man, as a teenager, and I got involved with a rough crowd, and you know, frequently there'd be shootings and gang fights and stuff like that at parties I would attend when I was younger, and you know, the parties didn't end until a shooting happened or the cops showed up. So I mean, that was kind of the lifestyle I lived when I was younger, and fortunately or unfortunately, you know, I got arrested one day when I was younger, and I decided to give my life to Jesus in the back of a cop car. And I told him, you know, if you get me out of here, I'll serve you the rest of my life. And luckily, for some miraculous reason, the cop decided that night to let me go, and that's been the root of everything I do since then. You know, I made a promise to God that this is what I'm going to do. And, you know, out of that's flown prison ministry and helping out the youth and helping out struggling youth. And, you know, I've been all over the world. I've done missionary work. And, you know, I love helping troubled youth because for me, it's like nostalgic for me. That's where I was when I was younger. And what we do at TG is, besides educating and helping, is we want to be a light to our community and help everyone in our community because, you know, we've dealt with the struggles. We've seen the bad things that have happened, you know, like self-defense seminars, and we're trying to do youth rehabilitation programs. We do adaptive fitness programs for autistic youth. Just a lot of things we do are just birthed out of the things we have experienced when we were younger or back in the day.
Yeah, and you have so many great trainers, and back to touching on that point of working with all sorts of different types of youth, you know, youth at risk, and also autistic. And one of those, you know, of course, he was a trainer spotlight in our magazine last month, but Drew, share a few words about Drew, because he's such an awesome trainer, and he's such a special trainer.
Yeah, I mean, it takes just a special person to be able to work day in and day out with autistic kids. You know, there's so many challenges, And Drew is just one of those guys that he's very gifted, and it's that topic is near to his heart because I believe he has an autistic family member, and he just comes to work every day just with a big old smile on his face, and so happy and encouraging with all these kids. That's a tough job to work with autistic kids every day, all day, and he does it with a smile on his face, and it takes. When I see him, I'm like, man, much respect to him because I couldn't do that every day.
And he has such great passion doing it. Like you see, he truly enjoys it. And I see the parents when they come in and the interaction they have with Drew and how much they respect him because he does lead by example. He's just such a great influence on all those people that he's involved with. But let's talk about your relationship with George Jackson, mutual close friend of mine for many, many years. And then your path, which, again, very, very inspiring. I don't know if you want to go backtrack a little bit, but I think this is a great message. Again, only if you want to share it. But you mentioned, you gave your life turning to God for that one moment. Would you mind sharing what happened that one night that you were supposed to go along? If not, no problem.
Yeah, so I remember... obviously, after I gave my life to Christ in the back of a cop car and I said, I'll follow you, I remember the next weekend, a bunch of my friends called me like, hey, are we going out this weekend? And then, I just remember the Holy Spirit of God convicted me like, hey, what did you tell me last week? And so I was like, no, I'm not going to go out this weekend. And that night, a bunch of my friends got shot. And I remember God telling me, see, follow me. I have a better plan for you.
Yeah, that was.
And every day since then, it's been a great journey, and just realizing that God's got a bigger plan for me than what I was doing. So.
And I witnessed it firsthand. You're respected around your gym. Aside from your monster-like size, Kruken monster, but the respect that you get from the way that you lead, not only by example, but your words of wisdom and knowledge, and then preaching a good way of life, but also that there is another way, a better way. And I notice many that are attracted to you are going through their own trials and tribulations, and then those can be gigantic turning points for many people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky that the gyms we have, we have amazing members that come from all walks of life. We have wealthy, we have rich, we have poor, we have gang members, and I'm lucky that I get to do life and pour into each and every one of them. Sometimes at our Bible studies out of the gym, we have guys that used to run the streets of San Diego and some top gang members, and now they're in Bible study, and you can just see they're on the verge of crying and giving their life to Christ, or just guys that are like, hey, I've been dealing with this drugs or dealing with this addiction, and I can't break it, and I'm kind of at the end of my wits here, and they come, and there's so many broken people out there, and it's awesome that we're not just a gym, we're a light for the community where people are coming, right, like you said, the physical is one part of it, but we really get to help with the mental and spiritual aspect of our members.
Yeah, so before we segue into how you met George and how your involvement with TG came about, just some last thoughts on that inspiring change in your life to others, that are looking for hope, and it could be another potentially gang member or a youth at risk or someone that might be listening right now. Some words of encouragement, and hopefully follow your lead and leading by example and taking them down a better path. Any words of encouragement or advice for them?
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason in life, and everyone's got their own story. Everyone has their own audience they can reach, There's certain people, Rob, that you can reach that I'll never be able to reach, and there's certain people that our gym members have access to that I'll never be able to reach. So each and every person plays an important role. Their story of struggle or their story of things they've been through can be used to help so many other people. And I think when you dedicate your life to Jesus and you make that a top priority now, giving back and helping others, just the sky's the limit and what you can do. I look back in my life, everything that we're doing through TG and that we've accomplished, if you would have told me this 5 years ago, I'd be like, you're crazy. That's not going to happen, because it's just so much bigger than I could have ever imagined. And all it is, I told God one day I'm going to follow him and dedicate my life to him. And I've just been along for this crazy journey, and it's amazing, So it doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you finish is kind of what I say. And doesn't matter what you did. It matters what you do going forward. And I think that gives everyone hope, right?
That's awesome. Great, great words, Stephen. And by the way, we'll go over this more later on, but you can follow Stephen on Instagram. And Stephen's open, really. I've seen him in action. He doesn't just talk the talk. He walks the walk. So if you want to hit Stephen up with a question, where's the best way to reach out through Instagram, Steve?
Instagram or by email. Instagram is obviously Kruckenmonster at Gmail, or Kruckenmonster. And then my email is kruckenmonster@gmail.com. Just KRUCKE and then monster.
Yeah, we'll go over that a few more times before we end the show. But for sure, anyone that has a question for Steven, you should check out his Instagram too. You'll get a great idea of who we're talking to, because you can't see what we're speaking to. So once you see what we're speaking to, it's pretty impressive. You have dedicated your life to this world of bodybuilding, health, and fitness. And then, of course, now, inspiring so many people. But let's talk about George Jackson, another very, very special individual. I've known him for many, many years. He's a leader. He's great business savvy. He's an entrepreneur. He's way back from the days of the old Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, and Gold's Gym with the Gronkowski brothers. But share with the listeners, Stephen, your relationship, how that developed and evolved into, you now becoming a partner in TG.
Yeah, George is probably one of the most inspirational, influential, genuine people you'll ever meet. They don't make many like George Jackson, from just the way he lives his life to the way he could probably be one of the most recognized names in the entire industry of fitness, but he chooses not to. He chooses to stay in the background. He's very humble, and he's just, every big story in the bodybuilding industry, George is like, oh, yeah, I was there. Oh, I was involved with that.
Right.
Oh, that was my idea. But, he's so humble, you'd never know it by speaking with him. I'll go on road trips with him, and he just tells me these stories about the Olympia and ideas he's came up with. And, my jaw's on the floor, and he's just like, yeah, no big deal. I was like, you invented that? Yeah, or being the CPA for Gold's Gym Venice, just things that he never will take credit or brag about. It's very humbling to see. But I met George probably 2018. I remember I was trying to open my own gym. I had this vision. I wanted a small little gym. I wanted to open it, and I wanted to help reach the community and do prison ministry out of it. But every door, for some reason, God kept closing, and I couldn't get it. And I remember I was at my other job, and a guy came in. He was like, hey, one of the partners sold his shares at the gym in Vista. You should go talk to the owner. And I was like, what? He's like, I already told him you're coming. And I was like, what? I got a meeting? He's like, yeah. And so I went in there. I talked to Todd, and he's like, George is the one you want to call. And, so me and George, we talked on the phone, and he was like, let's go out to breakfast and talk about what your goals are and what you want to achieve. And I was super nervous. I'm like, oh, this is the guy that owns the gym. He's opened all these world gyms. He's kind of a big deal. But one of the things I always told myself was, if I'm going to have a partner, I'm going to be upfront and honest about my goals and what I want to do. So I'm not going to try to pull a fast one. So I'm like, I always tell him that faith is a big part of my life and what I want to do in all my businesses and what my dream is, because I don't want to partner with someone that doesn't have the same vision as me. So I was like, well, I'm going to talk to this George guy, and if he wants to go with it, he will. If not, then I guess it's not going to happen. So I sat down to breakfast, and George was like, so what are your goals? I was like, I want to do a gym. I want to do Bible study. I want to do ministry. I want to help do prison ministry and reach the community through it. And, there's a little moment of silence, and George just looked at me, and he's like, I love that.
That's in George's style.
Exactly. And so next thing you know, we're on this crazy journey of opening multiple gyms and expanding the TG brand. And I started as just a guy working the front desk at one of his gyms. He wanted me to learn the ins and outs of running a gym. And he's like, after that, the next opportunity, then we can you can open a gym yourself. But I want you to learn. And so, I did all the grunt work at his first gym, is struggling a little bit, and it took off. So.
And it's so super exciting. But Steve, we're going to go to a break right now. You are listening to TG Wellbeing. This is Rob Fletcher speaking with Stephen Krukenberg out in San Diego there, TG Chula Vista. We will be right back.
Dr. Agathe Pierre-Louis is one of the top clinical psychologists in Orange County, and she will be your guide to healing and creating a positive relationship with family, friends, and coworkers. Confusion and emotional difficulty with self-esteem, parenting, or moving forward? Then contact Dr. Pierre Louis, who will guide you in making the right decisions to build a life healthy in mind, body, and spirit. To make an appointment or for more information, visit byembracetherapy.com.
Burke Catholic is the premier preparatory school in the Hudson Valley and encourages students to fulfill their passions in the areas of the fine arts, academics, athletics, and community service. Burke Catholic has a 100% graduation and college acceptance rate. Our seniors are awarded, on average, $180,000 in college scholarships. Burke Catholic's personalized approach to guidance ensures success for every student in grades 6 through 12. For more information or to schedule a tour, visit burkecatholic.com.
Silvio's Restaurant and Martini Bar is where you'll dine in an elegantly restored 18th century mansion. Silvio's elegant atmosphere includes an artistic martini bar, terrazzo gardens, or choose a place by the fireside. Reserve your table and feast on the finest farm-to-table menu in the Hudson Valley. Choose Silvio's and they'll customize to fit your party and budget, whether at Silvio's or at your place. You'll find Silvio's at Route 94 South in Warwick. Visit silviosvilla.com.
RECAP is a nonprofit organization serving Orange County for over 50 years, providing a multitude of programs and services and assisting those who live in poverty, especially for the most vulnerable, including seniors, children, veterans, the homeless and the hungry, those living with HIV and AIDS, victims of domestic violence, and much more. To become a volunteer or to donate in the fight to eradicate poverty, visit recap.org.
This is Zach Kruck. If you want to cut through the fake news and political spin, then join me every Tuesday morning right here at 10 a.m. We're talking about big stories, big issues, current events, politics, and a little sports too. So tune in and call in right here every Tuesday at 10 a.m.
WGBQ.
Hello, welcome back to TG Wellbeing Radio. We are speaking with Stephen Krukenberg. Stephen, where you left off, we were speaking about George Jackson and the phenomenal relationship you now have with him and building the TG brand. So you developed this partnership, and the TG, it's so exciting because, of course, you know, my involvement is, it's just, you just never know what's going to happen next. And like you said earlier with George, they call him Action Jackson. And he just, when he sees the vision, and, you know, of course, his big word is sustainability. Once those things match up, it's no stopping him or the team. So you opened up the TG gym, so you're involved in TG Chula Vista. So what are some of the goals of overall in TG?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the cool things about having George as a partner is he's very innovative. He, you know, you never just set up a business and just let it run its course, because you always want to be ahead of the curve, and you always want to be thinking of what's next, what we can do next, because you can't just stay stagnant, right? So every penny we make, we always put it back into the gym. We're always reinvesting in new equipment. And through all these ideas, you know, we took over a gym with a lot of space. We came up with the idea of TG Wellbeing, which would be the next generation and the big, big part of who we are as TG. And like you've said many times, it's about, you know, education and awareness. What we want to do is, it's such a broad topic, from medical to health to educating trainers to educating all of our members. Just overall, most gyms focus on the physical. We want to focus on everything from blood work to nutrition, through TG Cafe, through every little aspect, and even making our trainers better and our trainers more educated, because everybody knows when you come into a TG that we have the best trainers as well. So why not just equip them to be even better?
And there's so many opportunities that you provide for trainers, which we're going to speak about if we don't get to it this show, the next segment. But back to what you were saying with the trainers, you know, what is it that you look for? You know, someone comes to you, and I know you have unique opportunities for trainers. We'll go into that later. But what is it that you look for when someone comes in and, you know, they want to be part of TG, they want to be a trainer at your club? You just automatically let them give it a try, or what is involved in that process?
Yeah, so we have a very unique culture at the gym. I know you've experienced it, and kind of at our gyms, the cream rises to the top. So, I mean, we do have a lot of trainers, but if you're not kind of set apart or a good trainer, you're probably going to phase yourself out. So, I mean, we do give everyone the opportunity, and we'll educate people. You know, that's the next phase of TG Wellbeing, is educating these trainers through seminars on how to be better trainers. So, yeah, anyone can train. You know, we don't require trainer rent or take any revenue share. We just allow them to come in and start operating their business. And it's been very successful the last 35 years. But, yeah, we want to take that to the next level now and make sure when people come to San Diego or to Arizona, they know the best trainers are going to be out of our gym.
So let's go to giving some advice and tips to people in general looking to get into a fitness program, looking for a trainer. What advice you would give? Of course, you're a national competitive athlete. You're a competitive bodybuilder, and you train extremely hard. I mean, and you said one look at you, and you obviously know people. It's like the parting of the Red Sea when I walk down the street with you, so that's pretty funny. But what advice could you give to people in regards to trainers, working with trainers, and get themselves up and started?
I think when it comes to working with a trainer, how to spot the right one, I mean, certifications and all that are great. Experience is key because, you know, you can have all the book smarts in the world, but if you haven't worked time and time again with a broad variety of clients, it's going to be very hard for a trainer to figure out your body. Their knowledge in nutrition is key because, as we know, is 70% of all results or weight loss or gaining muscle, it has to be nutrition. So they got to know nutrition and look at their portfolio and the people they're training. Are their clients happy? Are their clients getting results? Maybe you should even ask their clients, you know, how's this person as a trainer? Because it's so key. When a good trainer can really change your life, not by just getting your fitness goals on track, but almost they could be like a life coach and get your life on track. As you know, discipline is everything. If you're disciplined, you can achieve anything in life. So a good trainer can help you get discipline and good, healthy habits and life skills. The sky's the limit for you. So I think a good trainer is very underrated in how much they can add to your quality of life.
On so many different levels, you know, whether it's weight loss, sports performance, the dream of becoming a professional athlete, or, you know, rehabbing an injury, absolutely agree with you. Trainers can definitely make it happen, their passion, their knowledge. But getting people to get into the gym and motivated to take the first step, so maybe they can't get a trainer, so they have to do it on their own. You know, you're an expert in this world of you know, science and meal planning and prepping. You know, for the person just looking to maybe drop 10 or 20 pounds, doesn't really have the budget for a trainer, what advice could you give to them?
Well, you got to get up and get moving. The key is obviously exercise, because that's going to exercise can cover a multitude of sins for your lifestyle. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's calories in versus calories out. You got to be burning the calories. And then diet. Like we mentioned, 70% of all results are diet. You know, it's adopting a low-carb lifestyle, high protein, eating multiple times a day, and then exercising. That's just the foundation to start getting your body in the right direction of dropping a couple pounds. And then if you want to get more advanced, then we can get into the TG Wellbeing stuff of the blood work and really looking at the fine-tuning your body, because there are a lot of people out there that they do try to lose weight and they can't. Maybe they have a thyroid issue, but that won't be diagnosed unless you have blood work. You know, there's so many other things that you can go through. But as the basics, I would say start exercising, start moving, and then trying to lower your carbohydrate intake, eat multiple times a day, and make sure you get a good amount of protein in.
Is there a specific diet, Steve, that you would, I guess, say, endorse or recommend to people? There are so many different plans out there. Is there something in particular that comes to mind where you would say, try this?
I mean, that's the whole thing about a good trainer is there's no cookie cutter, one diet fits all type person. I mean, people look at me, I'm 250 pounds, like 9% body fat right now, and I like the ketogenic diet. I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. People are like, oh, I could never function that way. But for my body, that's what works best. And for other people, they just cannot survive without carbohydrates. So that's something you got to find out. I would just say to basics, just start off with the high protein, low carbohydrate and see how you feel.
Are you a believer in smaller, more frequent meals throughout the course of the day to keep your appetite satisfied? And then also, well, that'll be question number one. Then I'll go to question number two.
Well, I eat 6 times a day, so I'm a believer in smaller portions more often because, you know, let's say your metabolism's like a fire or a furnace. What's going to burn hotter, throwing smaller logs in more frequently to keep the fire burning consistently hot, or 3 big logs in throughout the day? So I like to keep the fiery furnace burning hot all day by consistently adding wood to the fire, which would be smaller portions more often.
Excellent. Nutrient timing. So eating for what you're about to do. So example, so it's late at night. Would you say eating your last big meal should be at a certain time, and also eating for what you're about to do? So in other words, going to sleep, I know you understand what I'm saying. Going to sleep, you're not going to obviously overload on a big carb, or you do not want to necessarily if you're trying to lose weight. But would you recommend nutrient timing and eating? When would you eat that last big meal if you're for someone who's trying to lose a little bit of weight?
So yeah, nutrient timing is key. You know, if you're trying to bulk up, you're trying to slim down, you may want to position more of your carbohydrates around training time, whether that's for more energy and endurance during training, or the recovery process when your body, your glycogen stores are drained and you can restore them. As far as before bed, you know, depending on how many meals you're eating throughout the day, some people eat right before bed. I wouldn't load a bunch of carbohydrates in that meal, but I would get maybe a slow digesting protein before bed. Maybe an hour before bed, I wouldn't, you know, go to sleep on this massively full stomach with a huge meal. But yeah, slow digesting protein before bed, maybe an hour before bed, and then positioning your biggest meals probably around when you're going to work out, so that way you can utilize those calories.
Well, our next segment we're going to cover quite a bit. You know, we could talk for hours on all the different exciting things that are happening with TG, but we have a couple more minutes here. In competition, you know, you're competitive. Obviously, you're on another level of training. How many times a day someone at your level train? How many hours per day? And then what's involved in your meal prep?
So my training schedule all depends on what my current goal is. So right now I'm not prepping for a bodybuilding show, so it's pretty easy. I train about an hour a day, and I do about 20 minutes of cardio after my workout. But, you know, when you're getting ready for a bodybuilding competition, at the height of it, you're doing, you know, your fasted cardio in the morning, which would be 30 minutes to an hour. You do your workout, and then you do your post-workout cardio, which would be another 30 minutes to an hour. And then you're doing your posing. So, I mean, total could be close to 4 hours a day if you're really, really getting into the nitty-gritty of it. So that's kind of how it comes down to. I am in competition. Right now it's a little more laid back. And then, yeah, it's always going to be those 6 meals a day, and I just position the extra calories around training if needed. But you go pretty low calorie when you're trying to get to an extreme level of low body fat. So it's quite a sacrifice.
Well, we have about a minute left, Steve. I just want to say our next segment is going to be super exciting because we're going to talk about TG product and services. We're going to go more in depth about TG Wellbeing, blood work, food sensitivity tests, which I know we both agree that's a big part of, you know, getting that blueprint down for where you want to go, and in-body composition. We're going to talk about the TG Mobile MD and your education and a lot of other exciting things. So we're closing out our first segment here with Steve Krukenberg. Steve, share your contact information, Instagram, social media.
So once again, my email is krukemonster@gmail.com, KRUCKE monster@gmail.com. And my Instagram, pretty easy, @KrukeMonster, @KRUCKE monster.
Yeah, I would highly recommend or suggest to those that listen today to hit Steve up if you have any questions. He's very open, and he definitely will get back to you when he can. But definitely a great person to speak to in any regard, you know, especially if you're having some trouble and you need a little words of wisdom and inspiration. I know he's always there for you. So in closing, Steve, I can't thank you enough. Very much looking forward to our second segment. And again, you know, his Instagram and social media, you can reach out to him. This is Rob Fletcher, TG Wellbeing, speaking with Stephen Krukenberg from TG The Gym. And next segment is going to be awesome, so tune in. It may change your life.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.